Okay, so in this exercise, as I told you, we are splitting some words into morphs. As we know, morphs are the concrete materialization of morphemes, of the concept of morphemes. So we are going to split this word into morphs. Now we know that morphs, we have basically three types of them, three big types that have subtypes. But the three big types are root, prefix, and suffix. I want you to point the roots, the prefixes, and the suffixes, and whenever possible, and if there is, the fillers, which are normally the vowels that connect morphs to each other. So let's do it with phonetic. We have done it with adverbial, and then we have the conclusion that adds the prefix, verb is the root, this I is the filler, and all is the suffix. Now let's split phonetic. Let's do it. Oops, sorry. Going on. Phonetic. How would you split this word? Which is easier for you to find the prefix, the suffix, or the root first? Think of similar words to phonetic. You may need the help
I
of a
think the
dictionary.
first, the easier one is find the root.
Find the root, and what is the root according to your feeling? Phone with the
Phone.
E
Phone.
included or with the
Phone.
E excluded?
No. E
Phone like
excluded.
this, and in the letter N like this. Phone, or with the E together. Oops, or with the E all together.
Yes.
Like this. Phone.
Mm-hmm. No. No.
Okay, we the opposite, just the
Yeah.
opposite.
Yes.
Like this, right?
Yes.
Okay, phone. Well, to solve this kind of questionings, we better ask a dictionary. So I'm opening the Cambridge Dictionary. If you prefer the Oxford, no problem. I'm opening here the Cambridge. Let me share with you. And we are going to use technology on our favor. Okay, so we start searching, and the dictionary will start suggesting. So we start with the PHO. We have phobia, phoenix, phone. Okay, so let's move on. Phone. And then we have phone, phone book, phone box, phone call, phone in, phone mast. Looks like phone would be the root. But then we can experiment here. Like, do we have words with fauna? No. But do we have words with phone? For sure. Let's test another vowel. Phony? Oops. Phony? No. But how about phono? Oh, we have phonological, we have phonology. We have phonogram, which is not in the dictionary, but it's not of your times too, but it's what we use to play long play discs before we had the CDs, before Spotify and everything else. So phono seems to be a variation of phone. Remember, we are talking about morphs. We are not talking about the ideal concept of morpheme, although phono and phone resemble as the same unit of sound, they can be spelled differently depending on the writing context. So let's test you. That's the last one. We do not have it. So we have phone and we have phono. So should we include or exclude the E? Should we consider the letter E that I'm going to highlight here a filler or part of the morph? What do you think?
The filler is what we call vogal temática here, right? In Portuguese.
Perfect. Yes, perfect.
So, sure about that.
So we should do this, right? E is, let me use the metaphor. I like this one. It's kind of a cement that will put the bricks together. We call the morphs the bricks, okay? They go together. And sometimes they need to be glued. They need to be put side by side, and they need some kind of a mass to glue them. So this filler is what glues the morphemes. Okay, so we have phone, we have E as a filler, and now we have tick. Can you think of words that end in tick? We can search the dictionary if you want to
Well,
find the
I
suffix.
can I can word called dramatic.
Sorry,
Not the
dramatic.
same. Dramatic.
Yes, dramatic. Okay, look here. You can search sometimes. The dictionary will help you find suffixes or prefixes if you do like this, like uh, you use this symbol here and tick. But this was not the case because tick is a very common suffix. But we can think of similar words. Dramatic, what else? Problematic, symptomatic. And do they end in ick or in tick? Do we have many ticks in the English language? Problematic, systematic, informatics, and then with icks, ticks, or economics. Then we have ick, not tick. First of all, fillers are usually vowels, okay? So tick seems to be a variation of what? Sometimes
The
it's tick,
filler.
sometimes it's ick, like in symbolic, alcoholic. Sometimes it's ticks, or sorry, icks, like in economics, biographics. So let's use colors, okay? Not to be spending a lot of time using like trying to make the words fit the space here. So let's convention. Everything in red is the root, and everything in blue or uh, sorry, everything in blue is an affix. If at the beginning, the prefix. If at the end, the suffix. Okay, so what we have here is the root, filler, suffix. Do you agree? Can we split this into a smaller morph form? Is it possible to split?
Don't think so. Don't think so.
No. Can we split this one tick? You can say it's similar to ick, but being similar is not being the same, is not being, you cannot divide it, you cannot split it, okay? So let's do the next two. I'd like you to think about this second one, congregate. How do you split such a word? Again, the dictionary is a very good friend. When we start with con, we have a lot of uh, words, and not all of them are linked to the notion of congregate. But think of cong, congenital, congenial, congested, congestion, still not working very, very well. Now, we have congrats, congratulate, congratulation, congregate, congregation, congress, congressional, congressman. We start having a clue. Would you start from the beginning, from the middle, or from the end? 8. Think of words ending in 8.
Integrate.
Sorry, we had an audio
Integrate.
failure.
Integrate. Integrate.
Integrate. Yes. So it ends in 8. Integrate. Let's write these words down. Integrate. What else?
Evaluate. Evaluate.
Evaluate. Estimate. Please don't say classmate, okay? This is a coincidence. But what else? Most of them are verbs, yeah? Integrate, evaluate, estimate, congregate. So what do they all have in common? They all have this ending, 8. You don't have to make it completely right for the moment, okay? I want you to understand that what is the nature of being a suffix and what is the nature of being a root. Okay. Teacher, now it's easy because congreg is part of the word congregation. Think of congreg. How many words can you come up? I don't think you see my screen. I'm sorry. Now, like this. Now, how many words can you come up out of the black part? Congreg. We had integrate, evaluate, and estimate. We thought of these words as relatives of congregate in terms of the family 8. Yeah. Now I want you to think of the family congreg. Congreg, we know congreg is not a word itself because the verb is not to congreg, but it's to congregate. But out of congreg, we have congregate and congregation. So what is the big change between congregate and congregation? Congregation minus congregate, what do we have? Or or congregation minus congregate, what do we have in common?
First part of the word, the root.
We have this congreg as a common part.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are led to consider that congreg or congrega, because congregation, congregate, so we start, well, is this a part of the suffix or is this a part of the root? And is this really the root? That's what we are going to discuss now. So we have congreg plus 8. This is the first feeling we have, okay? And for the moment, this is okay, but let's think a little deeper. Let's go deeper into the problem. Congreg. How many words can you derive out of congreg? In the dictionary, we saw just congregation and congregate. Again, sorry, if you are not seeing the screen I'm referring to, please let me know, okay? Because sometimes I forget to share. So what other words can you derive out of congreg? And is it possible to split congreg? This is my question, because we have congregate and congregation. But when we do deal with con, well, it's hard because if we search this, we do not have the list. We just have the entry. Let me see the chat. Yes, Liana.
Okay, are you hearing me?
Yes?
Okay. Congress can be one word that is part of this group.
Congress.
Congress.
Yes. Okay,
Okay.
so let's start writing down here. So let's go. Congress. What else? Let's not talk about congressmen and congresswoman because they derive from Congress. But Greg, congreg. Tell me situations in which people congregate. Where do people congregate? And try not to restrict yourself to the English language. Think of the origins of the words. When you congreg, where do you usually go? You go to an assembly,
Yeah.
to a
It's the
congress.
basically is the idea of being together or to be in a group actually.
The idea of being a group. And when you put bricks together, let me make a reference to rock and roll again. When you put bricks by bricks on the wall, yeah, another brick in the wall. When you put bricks in the wall, you need to glue them, yeah. But we have this idea of construction. You get it? Construction. So can we consider con a prefix? We gotta check it. Con as a prefix. Can you think of words in which con starts the word?
Uh, say communication, but whatever. No.
I didn't hear you. Can you repeat that? Maybe you're
Sorry. I was going to say communication, but no. Concluded.
conclusive. Yes, conclusive. Yeah, let's think of con. Okay, because we have two hypotheses here. I want you to follow my way of thinking here. We have two hypotheses. The first one is that congreg is the root, and then it would be solved. The second one is that we could split this word congreg into smaller morphs, and then we have to find these morphs. And what we are doing now is test con as a prefix. And you gave me the word con. You said con.
Teacher can be
Conclusion.
concept.
Conclusion.
Can be concept too.
Concept. Okay, let's test it. But it's still code. Think of other words with con.
Conciliate.
And what do you do when you reconcile people? When you perform a conciliation process, what do people have to do?
You put them together.
They have
They
to sit together. Yeah, they have to talk to each other, get together somehow. I'm not erasing because it's not correct. Okay, I'm erasing because I need the space. Okay, so we have conclusion. What is a conclusion? What do you have to put together in order to have a conclusion? Do you conclude things like the people do on the internet out of that source? A gente conclui com base no que as pessoas fazem na internet para concluir que a vacina matou o piloto da Marília? Tira daquela fonte conhecidíssima, myass.com? Claro que não, né? A gente tem que fazer o quê? Para chegar numa conclusão, a gente tem que ter o quê?
Have to research, to study about something or things like that.
So you need knowledge, and you need to do what with that knowledge? Put together. Now we have a verb in English that means to put together. What is it?
Congregate, congregate, right?
Yeah, okay, but then we are like the dog trying to beat the tail. Let's find a synonym for congregate with con as
Oh,
well.
I thought you were thinking on this verb. Sorry, but
No, no problem.
it can
We
be
are all
integrate too, right?
we are all together because all of us have established a connection. Connection. I just want you to lead you to the way. You see, all these words start with con. Conclusion is putting together a set of arguments or knowledge. Concept. Well, sept comes from seption. Yeah. So something you think. Now you put things you think together. Conciliate. It's when you get people together to talk about a certain topic and try to find a common point. And connection. It's when you have lots of nexus, lots of nodes, and you intercept them. When you have an intersection between two straight lines, we have a connection. What I wanted to show you here, or at least to make you wonder, is that con is a prefix. But you must be convinced. I'm not doing anything here if I do not convince you that con is a prefix. And in order to convince you that con is a prefix, I have to convince you that Greg is a root. We have no other way. Either congreg is a root and h is a suffix, or con is a prefix, h is a suffix, and greg is a root. Now, an exercise for you, an exercise for researching. Can you find words with Greg, starting with Greg or derived of Greg? Who's this Greg? Or what does it mean? What kind of calendar do we use? Don't tell me it's Google Agenda, Google Calendar. What's the name of our calendar? The Jewish calendar, Chinese calendar, Arabic,
Greek? I don't know. Is it Greek?
You are on the right path. Go there to Google. What kind of calendar do we use in Occidental society? We are in the year 2021 of the Christian calendar, but it's not really Christian because it was even after Jesus Christ, Rome used their own.
Gregorian.
Sorry,
Gregorian calendar. Gregorian.
Gregorian calendar. Now, why Gregorian? Okay, so we have a word here. We have a word called Gregorian. Why do you think they call the calendar Gregorian?
Maybe because it comes from Greece. I'm not sure.
Maybe from Greece. So again, search. Why is our calendar called Gregorian? Let's search together. Why do we call Gregorian calendar? It is named for Pope Gregory XIII, who issued the papal bull Inter Gravissimas in 1582. So our calendar is really recent from 1582. Okay, and it's called Gregorian calendar because of Pope Gregory. Okay, he was a pope of the Catholic Church. I don't know if, yes, you can see that. Okay, if you are curious about this, you can click the link, the Britannica Encyclopedia, and so on. But anyway, okay, it was just a kind of maneuver that I used, a kind of I took a long path to tell you that the word Gregorian does exist. Okay, so what I wanted to prove to you here is that Greg is a root. Let me share the screen again because I ended up
Kind
closing
of
the.
hard. Like how would know? It's really
Sorry,
hard. This
hard
kind of hard because how I would know that? I I
with
yeah,
accumulation of knowledge. There's no other way, and I don't expect that you know everything. But as you
said
accumulate knowledge, as you read literature, as you learn about the classics in Greece and in the Latin language, you will have this feeling. I do not expect you to know everything. I do not know everything, and I do not have this pretension. Okay, but I'm just trying to lead you to this path. The other way to know that, since you asked, is like this: test. Go to the dictionary, and thank goodness now we have online dictionaries. Go to the dictionary and start testing. Con, cong, cong. And then we have congratulate, congratulation. Still does not work. Congre, congregate, congregation, congress, congressional, and so on. Yeah. And now you can test with Greg. Greg. We have gregarious, gregariously, gregariousness, Gregorian chant. Now, guess who invented or who promoted Gregorian chant? Why do we call it canto gregoriano? Who was the one that promoted it, that was an incentivator, an enthusiast of this kind of
Maybe
chant?
the same pope that made the calendar, right?
Perfect. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Okay. So we have Gregorian, and we know that "ian" is a suffix when we think, for example, of Cartesian or Freudian, Foucaultian, normally used to refer to fields of science or of philosophy, something that resembles Gregory or something that resembles us of Foucault or of Freud or Newtonian physics. Then we can say that Greg, as in congregation, congregate, Greg is a root. Okay? It's because of Pope Gregorius that you can call him Greg if you are a close friend of him. Okay? Now, what is one of the most common places that people go to congregate?
Church actually was the first thing I thought when you put
Yeah,
the word.
yeah. And Gregorius was a clerical man.
Yeah,
So makes sense. I'm going to congregate. I'm going to get together with Gregory, okay, in the church. Okay. Of course, this is not the explanation. Okay. It's just for you to remember that when we go to the church, we get together, okay, and we get together around some other people, okay. So congregate is like this: prefix, root, and suffix. Ah, teacher, I did this, congreg. Well, there is a reason for you to claim to be right, okay? Because this root, Greg, is not really English. This is Greek. This is Latin. I don't know. I think it's Latin, okay? So this is not really English. It's not a pure English root. But if you know that, it will help you expand your knowledge and explain other words that have other prefixes and suffixes. Okay? The same will happen with biographical, but you are more familiar with these morphs. So let's do it. Biographical. Let's split this word. Let me make it bigger here. Biographical. How would you split these words? And you can use the others as a reference if you would like to. What's the first morph that you can see? Or
bio.
the last, I don't know, if you would like to start from beginning or end.
The first one I saw was graphic, like,
Graph,
and
graphic.
yes,
Okay, let's paint it red. Let's imagine, okay, let's not take it as a truth. Let's consider that it may be the root. Maybe. Okay? And now what do you have before and after? How about bio?
yep, bio. Actually made a lot of sense because graphic is a like letters, the right thing, and bio is a personal thing. So biographic makes a lot of sense.
Oh, so you could give a meaning to bio,
Yeah,
which
because
we
normally on
cannot
social
do.
media, actually social media, when people have a bio, is a thing that they put personal things about them.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So it
So
makes sense.
something we cannot do with con. We do not know what a con is unless we put it in a word as a prefix. But we know what a bio is. And what does it tell you about the nature of this morpheme? No, Mateus. In the case of con, it's what I'm saying here. Con does not have a meaning on its own. If you
Yeah,
search the
it's a
dictionary,
prefix. It's a
yeah,
prefix.
it's a
I
prefix.
understand.
It's not a root because it does not have a its proper meaning.
Yeah,
Now I
I
want you to.
had
Mhm.
to be absent for a minute, so
No
I
problem.
was okay.
No problem. Now think of bio. We all know that bio means what? Biology.
Life.
Life. Now we have graphic that we were following the hypothesis that it could be the root. We are going to discuss it. And we have all. Think of words ending in all.
Atypical,
Biological,
Normal.
typical,
biological,
normal. Okay, let's write it down. Biological, typical, normal. What else?
Natural.
Natural. Now, something is natural when it's what is a natural food?
As it comes from nature.
Thank you. When it comes from, or when it sticks to, what is a person that is considered normal or a situation that's considered normal?
no strange.
Sorry?
When he doesn't, not, no, when, not strange.
Not strange. Not breaking the
The
norm.
rule. The norm.
Not
Rule.
breaking the rule, not breaking the norm, sticking to the norm. Now, what does it mean when the person is called a typical? Oh, he is a typical liar. That is a, a, a typical, I don't know, a typical stuck-up person, or that's the typical profile of a student. What does it mean? Oh, look, natural, all, coming from nature. Normal, sticking to the norm. Typical,
Typical is a
Following,
synonym for common.
sorry, common,
Is a
yeah?
synonym for common.
But try to explain it with type or typey or typic. I don't know. Is typic a word?
No, I don't think so. No.
Is
Would
type with letter E instead of letter I a word?
yes.
Yes. So we conclude that this I is a filler that was adapted because in fact it's not only a filler but part of a suffix called ic, typic. Ic is a suffix. And the real word here is type, which derives from typo. And a typical person is a person that sticks to the type. He is an exemplary person. He is a person that is one of a kind of its type, typical. This ic is also a suffix, okay? As you see here in phonetic, ic and tic are allomorphs, okay? And type is the root. And biological. What is the relationship between biology or biologic and biological? What are biological weapons? Biological material. You see that the smaller word you get, the easiest it is to compare, because here we also have the ic, which is a suffix. Here you have log, which is a second root, okay? So we have many morphs. But are you all convinced that all is a suffix? That means belonging to, resembling, sticking to. Natural, belonging to nature. Normal, belonging to the norm. Typical, belonging to the type. Biological, belonging to biology. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
So biographical means, what does all mean here? What is the meaning of all? The suffix all. When I say the
Belong.
meaning, I mean the morphological meaning. Okay, you won't find it in the dictionary. So something that is biographical is something that belongs to someone's biography. Okay, now let's consider this. This is the big problem. Graphic. Think of graphic arts, for example. Graphic arts. Can I split the word graphic into morphemes? Let's go to the dictionary. Graph. Graph paper, grapheme, graphene, graphene. Bolsonaro is crazy about graphene and niobium. Graphic, and then we have graphics. Okay, but look, we have graph paper, grapheme, graphene, graphic. Do you think these words are similar to each other? Grapheme, graphene, and graphic?
Yes. I think they are.
Can I split graphic? Let's think of other words ending in ick. Can you think of other words ending in ick? We have graphic. Okay, let's go to. How about cosmic? What does cosmic mean?
Belonging to space. To the space. Yeah.
What does comic mean? You all know what comics are. Yeah. It has become a kind of a noun. Yeah. But it comes from the word comedy. And then we have the ick suffix, meaning belonging to or deriving from, yeah, or having that quality. What does politic is politics? What does it mean?
Related to how can I say? Well,
How did we call the cities in Greece?
poly.
The polis. Yeah. So politics is what is the set of topics related to the polis. Yeah. And ick and icks are allomorphs. Okay. Now let's stick in words ending in ick. What does pedagogic mean? Pedo means child. Peda, child. Gog, I don't know, but maybe it is something related to teaching or knowledge. And ick related to this universe of. Okay, so what I want you to keep in mind here is the meaning of ick. Now go to graphic. What does graphic mean? What is the meaning of hieroglyphic? Uh, this like this. What is hieroglyphic writing? You know Egypt? Those paintings on the wall, the cats and everything else. So related to a
Hieroglyph.
hierarchic way of representing, of painting. Glyph is like painting. Okay, so what I want to draw your attention here is to the meaning of ick. What is the meaning of ick? And when I ask you what's the meaning of ick, I don't mean the meaning of the dictionary. I mean the morphological meaning. What's the morphological meaning of ick? What is a problematic person? Or what is the meaning?
Problematic problem. What?
Yeah, she has problems.
Yeah,
What is
she
a
caused a
dramatic?
lot of problems.
Yeah, what is a dramatic movie or a
A movie
dramatic
that.
situation? Full of or related with drama and so on. Okay, ick means having some feature or related to some characteristic. Okay, so we have graph. Can we split graph? What does graph mean? When we think of graph,
Writing.
only writing,
Mm,
drawing too, yeah. Writing, drawing, representing. Now, isn't a biography a kind of representation of someone's life? Yes or no yes?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes or no yes, Doquinha? You don't know this. You're not familiar with coxinha. Do you know the coxinha
I
joke?
am.
I
Yes.
yes,
am
I
too.
Yes
am.
or no yes, Doquinha?
that's a
Yes.
classical one.
Yes.
Yes, sim.
Mm.
Okay, so congrats. Okay, we are doing it together, but I hope you're following my way of thinking here. And how do we decompose the words? We always start from what's simple, and then we go to what is more complex. Okay, this is a method. Okay, talk about a method. Let's talk about pseudomorphs. Well, what is a what is a you do not pronounce pseudo. Let me police myself. What is a pseudo democrat? A pseudo democrat.
Someone who
What?
pretends it's demographic. No, democratic. Democratic.
Yeah, pseudo means like deceiving, something fake, something like an act of illusionism, isn't it? Can you think of other words that we can use pseudo to classify? And how would you consider pseudo? For example,
Pseudo is the prefix.
pseudo is a prefix. Some people would say pseudo is consecrated in the English language and in other modern languages also as a kind of root because it's a word from Greek that we have imported. Okay, but anyway, let's take it as a prefix. Pseudo. Pseudo means fake. For example, people have been talking a lot about pseudoscience, yeah, which are those methods that claim to be scientific, but they cannot prove what they conclude by means of empirical research. Okay, like I respect, okay, those who believe in, but like astrology, for example, it's a kind of pseudoscience. At least those like me who are skeptical, we call them pseudoscientists. Now, pseudo means somehow fake. Teacher, why do people consider pseudo as sometimes as a root, and then we should paint it red? Why do people call it a root? Because when we say pseudo something, pseudo whatever, we know that we mean fake. Okay, so it's like as if it were a free morpheme. Okay, an independent morpheme an independent morph with its proper meaning. Others don't agree with that because they will say there is no pseudo. Pseudo needs to be pseudo something. Pseudo science, pseudo athlete, pseudo teacher, pseudo whatever. Okay, so others that claim that pseudo is a bound morpheme, and this is the topic that we are going to enter in no time, they will say pseudo needs a complement. So it does not have a meaning on its own. It's still open for discussion. Now, what is a morph? This is a theoretical and a practical question at this moment. What is a morph? And you should know this by heart. What is a morph? According to morphology. A morph is a morpheme that I'm lazy to write the rest of the name? No. What is the difference between morphs and morphemes?
The smallest part of the sound of the word. No,
You're almost there. The smallest part, the smallest part of the sound or the smallest part of the word?
well, of the word, I guess.
Of the word, according to morphology. Okay, because phoneticists will say no, the smallest part of the word is the sound. But morphologists will say no way, the smallest part of the word is the morph, which in fact is idealized somehow and called morpheme. Morpheme is what is ideal. It is as if I could put ick and tick and say, this is the morpheme belonging to, related to. But in real language, sometimes it's ick and sometimes it's tick. So it does not work very well. So ick and tick are different morphs of the same morpheme. In other words, they are allo. Isso aqui tem que estar na ponta da língua.
Allomorph.
Allomorphs. Allomorphs são morphs distintos do mesmo morfema. Ok? Now, morph, is it a word itself?
Yes, it is.
When I say in the exercise here in the directions, divide each word below into morphs. So you know that each unit in color that you can see here is a morph. So a morph is something that really exists in the world, at least for us, taking the perspective of morphology. So what we have here, how interesting. Some people that consider pseudo as a prefix, we would say that we have a word that comes from prefixation of pseudo plus morph. Others that consider pseudo as a root because they will say it's consecrated and imported from Greek, meaning pseudo equals fake, will say that we have a word composed of a process of word compounds. The same process that gives me classroom, class plus room, classroom, or uh, sunglasses, sun plus glasses. Okay, so they would say that pseudomorph is a compound word with two roots. So we have root plus root. So what we learn from this exercise is that we can have prefix plus root, we can have prefix plus root. Oh, sorry about that. Or root plus suffix. or root plus root, as we saw here in pseudomorph. We can also have derivations of this prefix plus root plus suffix, oops, and so on. Okay, we can have also prefix plus root plus suffix plus another suffix, as in biographical prefix, root, suffix, suffix. You see? So it's not a matter of saying, oh, there is a root, there is a prefix, there is a suffix. Sometimes there may be two suffixes. Sometimes we may have two prefixes. Sometimes we may have two roots getting together to form a compound. Okay? It's not something fixed. There must be a root, only one root and only one suffix. No, no way. Okay? Let's work with deconstruction. Think of this word a little bit. Think of the other words you analyzed. What are the morphs that you can see here? Go to the morphs that you already know. Is there any morph here that you already know?
Construct.
Like this. Construct.
No, construct. Shun.
Construct.
Without it.
Shun is a suffix.
I think so.
Okay, I'm not saying anything. I'm just listening to you for the moment. I want to build this knowledge together. I want to construct this knowledge together, and then we deconstruct it.
What? It comes from not doing something, like just undoing something.
Very good. So D has a brother called un. D
Yes.
and un are allomorphs. Yeah. Deconstruct is similar to, it's not the same because the word does not exist, like unconstruct, undo. Yeah. Or doing it reversely, the other way around. Can you think of other words starting with D? Let's go to the dictionary. D. De-escalate. What is de-escalate? De-escalate is a verb. To cause to or become less dangerous or difficult. The government has taken these measures in an attempt to de-escalate the conflict. So a conflict escalates. Escalate, you all know, it's like going up, getting stronger. And when we want to de-escalate, we take some measures. There are signs that the confrontation is beginning to de-escalate. We also have de-escalate here in other examples. They are also taught how to deal with violence and indeed how to avoid it. They are trained to de-escalate violence. That issue will have to be resolved if we are to try to de-escalate the violence. Now you see D here followed by an hyphen, which is not the case in deconstruction. But the meaning seems to be different meaning or the same one, like undoing, reversing a process. Can you think of other words starting with D? Like degenerate. What is to degenerate? To become worse in quality, or having low standards of behavior, or someone with low standards of behavior, or a degenerative disease like Alzheimer's disease. What is degenerative? A degenerative illness is one in which the body or a part of the body gradually stops working. So it's like undoing, it's like reversing, it's like getting poor. Now, does it mean that, or is it reasonable for you that deconstruction means like undoing something that was constructed?
I think it is that's the meaning.
Good. So we have a prefix, we have a root, and we have a suffix
So it would be
that
the
we
the contrary of construction.
the opposite of construction. Very
Yeah.
good. So let's just discuss this root. Construct. It's difficult to think of words with con. We have congregate, congregation, congress, but how about with struct? Can you think of words with struct? My
Structure.
question is, my question is construct a unit, a complete morph, or is construct the junction of con and struct? Well, someone said structure. Let's search. Struct. If we search for struck, we find struck with a K. That's just coincidence. And then we have structural, structuralism, structuralist, structurally, and structure. So struck or struct seems to be a morph, isn't it? Because we can derive it. Structural, structuralism, structurally, structure. Okay, so let's consider struct as a morph. So when you construct a house, is there this idea of structure? What do you have to do before you build a house? I know you are not builders, but you maybe you all have seen a house being constructed. What do we have to do first?
The first thing you have to do is to buy the structure to in that yeah, the structure. Yeah.
Yeah, the foundations, the structure. You have to dig a hole on the floor and put some metal. Yeah. Uh, and you build a metallic structure. Yeah. At least in the four corners. And then you start putting the bricks. You will start constructing. You start putting together the constructing material, especially the bricks and the cement, on the metallic structure. So I hope you are now convinced that construct is not the root. The root is somewhere else. You have to make a decision. Is the root con or struck?
I think it's
Think
struct.
struck. Struck. And con is a prefix. And now a difficult decision. Does the letter T belong here in shan, or does it belong here in struct?
I think it belongs in struct.
instruct. Okay? And how do you conclude that? Well, you conclude that when you go to the dictionary.
Yeah.
And struck leaves me with ambiguities because we have struck with a K. Let's see if the meaning is related. Past tense and past participle of strike. Now, strike does not have to do with structure, structural. Strike is what you do when you are bowling, for example. It has more to do with the construct. So when I put the T, sorry, when I put the T, then ambiguities are left behind. And then what we have is structural engineer, structuralism. All of them have struct in common. And this final T belongs here, struct. And yon is the suffix, okay? The final T. Sometimes we have a morpheme called shun. We sure have a morpheme called shun. But in this case, because of T belonging here, I do not have to repeat it here. So yon and shun are allomorphs, okay? And what I have here, in fact, is a prefix plus another prefix plus a root and a suffix. Deconstruction. D meaning, again, undo, con, put together. Struct, structure. And yan, related to structure. Struction does not exist as a word, but we know that is something related to a structure. Construction is something related to putting things together around a structure. And deconstruction is just the opposite. It's like removing elements of a structure. Okay? Removing elements that were previously arranged together. Difficult. Fácil, né, gente? Facinho, facinho, facinho. É só ter calma. Ou não?
Ter calma e se você pode repetir, por favor. Meio perdida, calma.
Repetir o quê? Não, eu tô
Essa
perguntando.
última parte.
Não, eu
Hã?
tô falando, é só ter calma, né? É só ter calma. Vamos lá. Deconstruction.
Isso.
Vamos de trás para frente. Yawn, a gente sabe que é relacionado a. Eu tinha um aluno que achava que falar inglês era só pôr ation nas coisas, né? E muito vem da produtividade desse sufixo yawn, né? Information, argumentation, totalization, materialization, e aí ele começava. This is a piece of population. Vai lá, professor, fumar seu cigarration, né? Claro que era brincadeira, né? Deriva do inglês que a gente chama in relation, mas que mostra o quê? Que esse tipo de prefixo ele é produtivo. Ou seja, ele é muito presente na língua. Ser produtivo para nós em morfologia, em morfossintaxe, é estar presente, ser comum, tá? E ele significa estar relacionado a. Struct vai nos lembrar de estrutura. Con, a gente discutiu lá em congregation, que con é se juntar, né? Então, o que é construction? É juntar, é aquela ação que te lembra relacionada a juntar coisas na estrutura. E D, a gente viu que é o processo inverso, né? Então, é o processo de remover coisas que previamente estavam juntas numa estrutura, né? Deconstruction. É o que a gente faz em análise do discurso. A gente pega o discurso e decompõe em elementos, elementos linguísticos menores, ideológicos também, né? Certinho? É muito difícil, gente?
Entendi agora.
Quem é o melhor amigo de vocês num exercício desse tipo?
Dictionary.
Yes. Okay, if you are patient, a paper dictionary would do. Okay, sometimes dictionaries, when we search them for certain prefixes that are very productive, they will even tell us this is a prefix, this is a suffix. Okay, sometimes they won't. Okay, so an electronic dictionary would save you a lot of work. Okay, now let's follow the link here. We have a website, the Benjamin's website. Let me see if I can follow this link. Okay, you probably see this English word division exercise. Okay, so it's an electronic exercise that you can do and check yourself if you manage it. Okay, so the first thing they ask us to do is analyze the following words into morphs using the model given below. The same thing we have done here. Prefixes, root, and suffixes. Like in inequality, we have in as a prefix, meaning not, equal, that's the root, and it, meaning having the characteristic of being equal. Okay? Now, we should do the same with these words, okay? Hospitalization, invisibly, uninteresting, and so on. I won't do this with you. I'll leave it as a kind of homework, okay? You can do that. And when you finish, you can press show key, okay? Don't do that right now. I won't do that right now. You do it yourself and you check, okay? It's a kind of self-check progress, okay? Would you promise you will do it? Do you promise, guys, that you're going to do this exercise at home as a
Yeah.
practice? Okay, cross your heart. Can I
Hey,
believe you?
teacher, can
Yes.
you please? My internet connection was very bad. You can
You would
repeat?
like the link? You want the link? Ah,
No, what you said, because I couldn't listen.
tá. Ok, and I'll say em português as well. Esse aqui é um exercício extra, tá? Ele tá online. Ele é do site do livro que vocês estão usando como referência, do Brinton and Brinton. Não, desculpa, esse não. É sim, sorry. Não, sim, decidas, professor. Sim, é sim, do Brinton and Brinton. E ele é um exercício sobre divisão em morphs, tá? Tá aqui o link. Vocês vão fazer numa folha de papel normal, tal, para vocês. Isso aqui é um self-check. Vai fazer quem quiser. Mas é aquela coisa da coleta da oferta na igreja. Só dá quem quiser, mas quem não quiser vai arder no inferno. Entendeu? Aquelas igrejas bem mercenárias, tipo de Macedo. Aqui também, só faz quem quiser, mas quem não fizer vai tirar zero na prova. Não, brincadeira, vai não, gente. Mas quem fizer, eu vou pela promessa reversa. Quem fizer e acertar bem esses exercícios, tem uma grande chance de ir muito bem na prova. Entendeu? Então é um self-check, vocês vão fazer, e depois vocês têm o answer key, né? Aqui, vocês clicam aqui que ele mostra as respostas. Como eu já fui aluno, e sei como é que funciona a ansiedade de aluno, a tentação de clicar lá em show key é muito grande. Faça isso não, tá? Isso é muito podre. Faça isso não. Primeiro faça o exercício, depois você vê a resposta. Aí você pensa sobre onde e por que você errou. E aí você me procura pelo e-mail ou nos intervalos de aula, nessa chegada mais cedo que vocês dão, ou um pouquinho mais tarde na saída, me aborda que a gente discute o porquê do erro, tá bom? Isso aqui é por vocês e para vocês, tá? Não é em sala não, tá bom? Antes da gente seguir na lista, tá? Eu vou apresentar a vocês dois conceitos bem rapidinhos, tá bom? E isso aqui vai depender do PowerPoint. Então deixa eu entrar no meu PowerPoint aqui. Na verdade, é uma coisa que vocês já sabem. Só vou reforçar que já foi dito na aula passada. Bound Morphemes. Quem lembra o conceito de Bound Morphemes? What is a Bound Morpheme? A melhor metáfora para isso aqui é a daquele relacionamento tóxico. O bound morpheme ele está sempre num relacionamento tóxico, um relacionamento no qual ele sequer existe, ok? Bound morpheme é que nem aquela pessoa que precisa da outra para sobreviver, precisa da outra para se sentir gente, né? O bound morpheme precisa de outro morfema para significar. Ele até lembra alguma coisa, mas ele não é palavra, tá? Bound morphemes are affixes, ok? E ao dizer que eles são affixes, it means that they are either prefixes or suffixes, and they must be attached to the word or to another morpheme to form a word. They can't stand alone as words. They are not words, and that's why they are bound, okay? Because they are dependent. If you change bound for if you consider that bound is a synonym of dependency, then you know what a bound morpheme is. They are prefixes, infixes. Please disconsider infixes because infixes do not exist in the English language. So this is a general theory, okay? But in English, it's not relevant because English does not have infixes. Suffixes, oops, sorry, and circumfixes that also do not exist in English. Circumfixes are morphemes that divide, they go part at the beginning and part at the end. Such as, example here, clude in the words include, exclude, and preclude. We know what is in, the preposition in. We all have that idea from the pedagogical books, like the ball inside the box. The ball is in the box. We know what it's ex, as in external, or extracorporeal, or extraordinary. We know that ex means outside. And we know the meaning of pre, like uh, pre-game, something that happens before the game, or preamble, something that comes before the main text, or prescription, something that is given to you as a previous attitude for you to do, okay? But we do not know what is clude. What is the meaning of clude? We don't know, but we know the meaning of include. Oh, let's include our friend in the party activities. Oh, that guy is very stupid. Let's exclude him from this task. Okay. And what is a preclude? Is when you are doing a kind of list who is included or not. Okay, a preclude. We can go. We can look up the meanings of these words in the dictionary soon. But what I wanted to pay attention here is that clude does not mean anything because clude is dependent on what comes before. It's dependent on another morph in X or pre. And that's what we mean when we say it's bound. Bound means depending on, depending, okay? It's a depending morpheme. The same happens with the plural morpheme. There is no such an idea as s or us or os or anything else like that. We know that the final s may mean the plural, but the final s on its own is not a word. So it needs to come after something before him or before it, okay? Like S does not have any meaning, but the meaning of boys is certainly different from the meaning of boy, although this difference is just grammatical for number. The same for girls. S is not meaningful, but girl is. And girl and girls have slightly different meanings as cat and cats. Okay, so I say that cat is a free morpheme because we all know that the cat is this beautiful thing here, meow. Yeah, we all know what it means, but what is the meaning of s? We call it plural morpheme, but we cannot give a literal definition. So this is a free morpheme, whereas this is a bound morpheme. Bound because it needs to be attached to another part. Now, in opposition, free morphemes are those which can stand alone as words. If you look up the dictionary, you will find these morphs as words or very subtle, very minimal adaptations of that morph as a word. Girl, system, desire, hope, act, fun, and happy are examples of morphs that happen to be words. Okay, I can say someone is, for example, a girl uh, acting in a girlish way, a young woman that acts in a girlish way. So she acts like a little girl, as if she were not an adult. Or system, we have systematic, systemic, or systematically. Okay, system is a morph and the root, and system has a meaning on its own. Desire, we can derive into desirable or desirability, but desire is a morph and a word. Hope, hopefully, okay, hopeless, act, actor, actress, acting, okay. All these words, they can derive into bigger words, but they are also morphs that happen to be words. And they are the potential roots of a word. A root morpheme is consecrated as a free morpheme. A root is a morpheme that cannot be analyzed into smaller parts. Generally, it is a free morpheme, okay? Although sometimes we have words like cran, as in cranberry, okay? Uh, or act, or beauty, or system, okay? You cannot split it. Teacher, cranberry is not berry the root? Well, we have two roots here. We have cran as a root and berry as another root, okay? Now, the notion of stem morphemes. Stem morphemes are basically morpheme plus morpheme. A stem is formed when a root morpheme is combined with an affix. So, root plus suffix, stem. Prefix plus root, stem. And other affixes can be added to form a more complex stem. Just imagine a tree. So we have the roots, the simplest unit. Now this tree derives into stems. And this stem can derive into more stems. I'd say that this stem is more complex than this one over here. This is a simple stem. This is a very complex stem because I have this bifurcation here and so on. I'll go back to the topic of stems, don't worry. But basically, a stem is root plus another morpheme, either at the beginning or at the end, okay? So stems can be simple, morpheme plus morpheme, or complex. Root plus morpheme, plus morpheme, plus morpheme, plus morpheme, plus morpheme, stem. Stems can be or can be not words, okay? But they contribute to form words. As in govern, we have governable. How can I erase this in just a moment? So we have govern, which is the root. Governable is a word, being capable of being governed. But governable is also a stem for governability. Então é tudo uma questão de relação, ou para ungovernable, que é um outro stem para ungovernability. É tudo uma questão de relação. Stems, galhos, são em relação a palavras, tá? Só que um galho desses pode ser também palavra, governable. É uma unidade mais complexa em relação a governability. Mas é também em si uma palavra. Ela tanto é word quanto é stem. O que é stem? É um root mais um morfema. Ou é um morfema mais um root. Se esse morfema é um prefixo, claro. Mas a gente vai voltar nesse assunto de stems, tá? Na hora que a gente for desenvolvendo em exercícios, né? E aí depois eu passo para Content and Function Morphemes, porque eu já estourei 5 minutos. Tá? Alguém tem dúvidas sobre a aula de hoje? Sobre a resolução dos exercícios? Quando vocês se calam assim é um perigo. Tá tudo bem, gente?
Sim, eu
No meu
tenho
caso, tá.
dúvidas, mas eu acho que é só durante a atividade que eu vou ter mais certeza.
Tá bom. Então vocês vão lá na atividade do site, façam, tá? E já tentem dando uma olhada nas outras questões, tá? Porque já dá para fazer de maneira intuitiva, tá? Principalmente essa questão, as outras duas aqui, que ele pede para você, são teóricas. What are allomorphs? Give at least 2 examples, né? E o 3, what do you understand by homophones? Give at least 2 examples. Né? São duas questões conceituais. Depois que vocês fizerem os exercícios online, me responda essas duas questões conceituais para compartilharmos em sala na quinta-feira, tá bom? E aí a gente volta a discutir esses stems. Quero que vocês vão para casa? Não, né? Porque vocês já estão em casa. Quero que vocês fiquem pensando sobre como a morfologia se estrutura nessa noção metafórica da árvore. Tá? Pensa na árvore, nas raízes, né, que são os radicais, e nas bifurcações que elas vão fazer a partir do caule comum. Tá? E cada caule daquele vai frutificar. No fim das contas, o fruto é o que a gente chama de word. O stem, às vezes, é também word. A imagem não é muito boa porque, às vezes, um galho é também palavra, mas ele deriva num produto final. Mas enquanto ele vai derivando, ele vai construindo outros produtos, né? Ele vai construindo outros produtos. É como a folhinha, né? A folhinha é como se fosse uma palavra expansível, né? Pensem na metáfora da árvore, de como estruturar as coisas em árvores, tá bom? Para a gente poder discutir esses stems. Stem é morfema mais radical, sempre. Ou radical mais morfema, no caso dos prefixos. Tá? E aí a gente vai analisar palavras complexas, palavras maiores, e os seus respectivos stems, seus respectivos galhos. Eu não sei como que chamam isso na morfologia do português, mas a gente pode dar uma pesquisada, deve ter algo em comum. Deve ter, não, tem, que é o mesmo método. Tá bom? Se ninguém tiver dúvida, eu sou o último a sair. Tô aqui. Se alguém quiser falar comigo no privado, tô aqui.
Professor, só uma pergunta, essa gravação você vai disponibilizar no
Vou
e-mail, né?
sim, meu anjo, vou sim. É só ela ser processada que eu já disponibilizo, tá? Ela demora um pouquinho para ser processada.
Ah, tudo bem. Obrigada, professor. Bom
De
dia.
nada. Bom
Até
dia.